we're all over Sandy Alderson. That's for sure, right? But I'm not exactly thrilled about the anybody but Sandy philosophy that I feel like is happening around this town either. And, this is not being a hater. This is not me being cynical. This is not me being negative. This is me just looking at Billy Eppler and his record as the general manager of the Los Angeles Angels. And it looks like all of the shortcomings that he had in LA almost fit exactly with what the Mets are hoping he excels at here in New York. Like, there's a lot of overlap between New York and LA, and I think it's like not an unfair barometer for what he would be doing here with the Mets. And all the things I'm hoping that this Mets regime pulls off this offseason were, quite frankly, the things that Billy Eppler was not excelling at. I'm not going to say failed, not excelling at with the Los Angeles Angels. Like, why should I be excited today? Why should I have optimism today?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you the optimism. The optimism is that Alderson's no longer making the baseball decisions.
That's my anybody but Sandy.
Well, but it does play. I mean, it really does, because
That's
and
sad,
we can't bemoan the fact of not having little to no confidence in Sandy Alderson as an executive, and joking around about Sandy and his son, and joking around about Sandy at the GM meeting saying, "Hey, we're A-okay."
Right.
And the news about Syndergaard deciding to take $21 million and go into the Angels, and for all intents and purposes, I think, not building that relationship, or the Mets saying, well, you don't want to bring him back, or Syndergaard looking at the organization and saying, well, it's been a 7-week disaster here. This is a very important year of my career. I'd rather trust the Angels. I need to be as
far away from New York as possible.
The Mets right now. So all of those things come into play when you look at the Mets. And yeah, I got to be honest with you. If you're a Met fan, I think you're tired of Sandy Alderson. And Sandy's coming off a bad year. You need fresh eyes on this organization. That's the other thing. Billy Eppler's fresh eyes. He has familiarity with the New York marketplace, working for, general manager Brian Cashman with the Yankees. Cashman will play that cut here in a little bit. Last night, spoke glowingly of Billy Eppler. You look at his, the balance between analytics and scouting. Came up as a scout, as a pro analytics guy, has a way that he wants to go about business. There are times out with the Angels as well that he was overruled with decisions that he wanted to make by owner Artie Moreno, who is a very, very aggressive, passionate guy that gets into the baseball decisions out there with the Angels. Yeah, I'm not telling you that Billy Eppler's a home run hire or the sexiest hire in the world. He's not. I mean, it's not Theo Epstein. It is not Billy Beane. It's not one of these big name. It's not David Stearns from Milwaukee. It's not one of these big name executives that had a lot of success or well established at Major League Baseball. I get that. I understand it, but Maggie, this organization needed new eyes on the team.
I get
and
it.
Eppler is that, and it's not Sandy Alderson.
Okay, but fresh eyes don't automatically equal clear vision. I'm looking at what Billy Eppler did in LA. I'm looking at losing seasons. I'm looking at never had more than 80 games, yet did have the financial flexibility that we believe the Mets are going to have, right? Had an owner who's involved. Kind of reminds me of somebody I know who tweets a lot. You're going to have Steve Cohen is going to be involved. To what extent? Well, it's still not really clear how much Cohen gets involved. We talked about this with Lindor. Was he the one who made the final decision on all that? That's not going to change being here. Number one, he could not get a pitching staff together that could make the Angels a contender when you have Mike Trout in his prime. And that to me is as a Mets fan, that's what I'm worried about, quite frankly. A guy who's, background and gets touted as draft and development. Meanwhile, I'm reading Tim Britton in The Athletic. He's one player with a WAR over 1 that he's developed. I'm looking at a pitching staff in the Angels when he was there. They were 29th out of 30th in pitcher WAR. The starters were dead last.
But do you think that people can learn from mistakes? Do you think that people can evolve? That a person, that the Billy Eppler from 7-8 years ago is not the Billy Eppler that's going to be introduced at 12:30 later on this afternoon, that somebody can say, well,
7-8 years ago, 2 years ago.
Well, no, I'm just talking about the guy before he got the job with the Angels. Before he got the job with the Angels, that guy is different then than he is now, getting introduced by the Mets. So I'm going to go on the I look at it, yes, I understand the trepidation. I understand if he was successful with the Angels, he wouldn't be available. He'd still be the general manager out there in Los Angeles for the Angels. So it didn't work. It
I know,
did
but the
fail.
Mets said they were going to get the best and the brightest.
Well, I get it.
So
but,
obviously that'd be someone who had success.
But Eppler does have respect within the game. But we understand. Well, here's the one thing is, yeah, the Mets job didn't become all that attractive. So Billy Eppler gets a 4-year contract. It's not this 1-year window. If we're going to scream that you don't want Sandy Alderson making the baseball decisions and having the impact on this team long term, well, the Mets said, we're not going to do that. Billy Eppler's going to have final baseball decisions. I get it didn't work with the Angels, but doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to work here in New York with the Mets.
Right, but I guess I don't. Why does it have to be an either or? Like, I'm still going to be skeptical of this hire just based on the record. This is not anything personal about Billy Eppler. I've never met Billy Eppler. None of that. Like, it just feels like, well, it was Sandy or this guy, and this guy was not anywhere close to being one of their first options. And that was going to be probably anyone hired at this point. But we thought at least if it was going to be some random, like, former executive turned lawyer, it's like, all right, well, they kind of want this sort of empty suit, sort of hold the fort for a year until they get the president of baseball operations, which, by the way, still no president of baseball operations. That's not going to come for another year. So Eppler's going to be in making all the baseball decisions, and then you're going to hire somebody over him. And how is that going to work? The other part, too, is, and I've been on this from the very beginning, I'll believe it when I see it that Sandy's not involved. I'll believe it when I see it. And I don't know if we're ever going to see that, but Sandy has always said he will have a seat at the table. He said it's not going to be the head of the table, but he's always going to have a seat. The idea that Sandy, with 40 years of baseball experience more, is going to somehow fade into the background here and just do the business side, I've never bought that. If there's going to be someone who is the president of baseball operations, okay, that person comes in, they're actually given the full autonomy and authority, maybe I'll start to believe it then. But right now I can't. And honestly, I didn't need the sexy hire. I just want the smart hire. And I want somebody who can put together a team that was better than what Billy Eppler did with the LA Angels. That's not, to me, asking the sun, moon, and stars.
For sure. But like I mentioned, if he had all this success with the Angels, he wouldn't be here.
Right, but David Stearns, in theory, is having success, and they're still courting him and still courting him, right?
Stearns might be here a year from now. I mean, that's the
potential.
potential.
Should they have punted everything for a year?
No. I mean, honestly, no, because you have to get back to running this organization. The idea of, here's the one thing, when we were joking around, well, there's a couple layers to it. We were joking around about the Mets only giving the next general manager a 12-month runway.
Right.
That's insane.
Well, that was just an invitation of a job.
That's
insane. Punting for a year.
That is not what they did. They gave Eppler 4 years.
Right.
This is not a 1-year runway. They're excited about the opportunity. It's not Cromie who's doing mergers and acquisitions in Pittsburgh and hasn't been in baseball since 2017. This guy has been in the game. I know he stepped away. I know he got fired in 2020. I understand that, was working for a sports agency and all that. But he has familiarity with the marketplace. He has an understanding of scouting. He's going to have the say over baseball decisions. It's not going to be Alderson and his son running this thing as they see fit here for the better part of the next year until you bring in a president of baseball operations. They didn't punt it from a year from now. They brought in a guy, and I get you could be skeptical based on the resume of Billy Eppler. Everything you're saying about his failures with the Angels is legit. I'm not telling you Met fans should be running out buying season tickets this morning. However, I do think people can get better. I do think people can evolve. I do think Billy Eppler can learn from his mistakes with the Angels. I do know some of the decisions with the Angels that he did not want to make went over his head and was made by the owner and Artie Moreno. So there are things that came into play out there. Ultimately, he failed. So he's got to own that. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a failure or a disaster here in New York with the Mets. It's not the sexiest hire. I've said it all along. It's not one that Met fans are going to be rejoicing. We'll see what he has to say, and we'll bring it to you at 12:30 this afternoon when he meets with the media. However, I am fired up that it's not going to be Alderson having final say over all baseball decisions moving forward. That's a positive.
This is where we are.
That's
the
a
anybody
positive.
but Sandy is what we're calling this press conference. 877-337-6666. Heard from us, want to hear from you. Let's start with Frank. He's in White Plains. Hi, Frank. How's it going today?
Maggie.
Yes.
You know something? I agree with you 100% everything you say. You said just what I want to say. And Moose, you know something, Moose? I love you so much. I watch you almost since you ever been on this show.
Thank
not
you.
just daytime, but night and all the time. You know that.
I know. I love you,
that.
Frank. Thank you. But you disagree.
I know I have to repeat myself, but I'm telling you, I don't agree. I think still Sandy Ellison is going to make decision even over this. I don't agree with you on that. I'm sorry.
Frank, I don't believe who made the Frank. I'll push back a little bit, right? Appreciate the compliments and everything, and we love you and thanks for listening and thanks for calling as much as you do.
Thank you, Frank.
Let me ask you the question though: who made the Javier Baez deal?
We were told that Zach Scott made that deal.
Zach Scott made the deal,
Right?
That Sandy did not make that trade. That was Zach Scott's doing.
Right.
That was he as the year went along before the DUI, obviously in White Plains. Scott had taken over making the baseball decisions within the organization. Yeah, and that everything I've been told, that is true.
Okay, but here's
so
the
if
question.
I'm going to go on the idea that is true, they just brought in a general manager that gave a 4-year contract. There's no interim tag for Billy Eppler. I think he's going to have final say in baseball decisions.
The idea of making the trade for Baez last year is one thing. What I'm thinking about is who's deciding whether or not they're going to give $250 million to Baez this year or whatever he's going to get. Right, but like
the man is Billy Eppler.
But like, is that what the organization do you want? Is this like, are we getting ready here for like 10 years of Javi Baez at second? Like, these are some really big decisions that could be made by somebody who doesn't have a track record of making winning moves.
All right, but so are you saying you'd rather have Sandy make the decisions?
I'm saying I don't have to like either of these. I'm just having trouble on a day that should feel very optimistic and on a day when the Mets finally end this search.
You can't stand Alderson making the decisions.
But that doesn't mean I need to love Eppler. I don't think they made a right decision here.
I think it's going to work.
I can't just love it just because it exists. Hey, by the way, Frank was talking about you on SNY last night. Were you still at Joe Clapp's house last night?
I was last night.
I thought you were at the Clapper's house last night. That old so-and-so.
I was with the leaves in the background. Yes.
I was like, that's not Moose's house.
No, it was not.
That's not your fancy chandelier.
No, it was not. No, we had massive issues yesterday with the cable company.
Still again, because I'm like, man, if that's not Joe Clapp's house, then I'm not sitting here on this Friday.
It was Joe Clapp's house. It was. And he and Christina are great and everything. And they're like, I'm like, Joe, I need to use your house again. He's like, yeah, come on over whenever you need. So I got to his house at like 10:15 last night, set up, did all the thing, put the makeup on. We were watching the Falcons-Pats game.
Nice.
I don't have anything in the house. I have no TV. I have no internet. I have no phone. Nothing in the house. And so
I got to hang out with the Clap.
We had the 2 to 5 window yesterday. 2 to 5 window.
Oh, the cable company
to come by. Never showed up.
Shocker.
Never called. They said they'll call beforehand. Never showed up.
They're like
told they'll be there at 4:15.
Like an unreliable boyfriend.
Called because I had parent-teacher conferences last night. So called. We'll be there at 4:15.
Moose is doing a hit from SNY from the school.
Called again at 5.
Can I use your Wi-Fi?
Said they'll be there at 6. It's all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I got to leave to go do these parent-teacher conferences at like 6:05. I got to be there. I can't stay here till 6. So found a way. Donna's mom was driving up from Westchester to meet me at the house to be there at 6. Called the cable company back, said, guy's not coming today. He showed up earlier in the day, right around 4 o'clock. I go, that's impossible. I was home. I go, they're not.
You're going to fight him on that? Good
luck.
Then
they're like, what? We can come Sunday. I'm like, Sunday? I go, it's Thursday night. I go,
I got the football show with Deal.
I can't make it till Sunday. Like, I need
Joe Flacco's starting.
You got to give me a little bit of help.
He's back.
Here. So finally, I got someone on the phone last night about 9 o'clock, and they're like, we'll be there tomorrow, starting at maybe around 10 a.m. So my wife is there right now. Just a disaster. Your life sometimes feels like a relay race to nowhere. And then we're doing the call. We're having a chat before the show. Me, you, and Pete get a call from my wife. Yeah. I think there's an animal in the house. Just one? I go, why? What species? I go, why do you say that? She goes, mammal, reptile. Stuff is torn up in the house. After I left and took the kids to school, I go, I heard some noises last night as I was trying to go to bed. I was like, we're going to have to set a trap tonight and see if there really is an animal in the house. Set a trap. That Moose is definitely going to step in. This is the daily drive of the Malusis house. Set a bear trap at Moose's house. What could go wrong? I'm driving to my friend's house to go do sports night, and I might have an animal in the house. Fantastic. Look forward to the weekend. Well, let's see what Elvis has to say about it. He's in Orange. Hi, Elvis. How are you? Hey, Moose. I'm kind of on your side on this stuff. Maggie, you are always pessimistic about the Mets. Okay. I have a reason to be today. It's never without merit. I've been a long time fan of the Mets. I really don't even care who's the general manager.
I don't care who the manager is. Let's just talk about one thing. Who do we want to get on the team? Moose, I'm sure you thought about free agents. Who do you want to see on this team this year? That's what really counts, because these guys don't win on the field, the general manager. It's the players.
Yeah, who's responsible for picking them?
Well,
Who do you want to see on the team?
Yeah, I get it. Who do I want to see on the team? I mean,
who would you like to see the Mets go after?
Yeah, I think the Mets are going to bring Baez back. McCann's not going anywhere. Catcher's suited up. I would keep Dom Smith aboard because I think
Chris Taylor? I want the Mets to get Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor would be fantastic.
Chris Taylor would be.
How about Nick Castellanos? How about bring back Stroman?
Yeah, I wouldn't bring Stroman back. That's
Stroman's got to come back.
The free agent market for pitching is just not awesome this year, and it's
in
a year when the Mets need pitching. So yeah, let's
You have to sign him.
I don't think the Mets have an option.
Elvis, I don't think the Mets have to bring Marcus Stroman back in a 5-year contract. I think you compound. I said it the other day, Maggie, when you were out sick. I wouldn't compound the problem of losing Syndergaard to the Angels by overpaying for Marcus Stroman. I would not.
Well, they're going to overpay for somebody. Everyone's going to get overpaid.
I would not give Marcus Stroman a 5-year contract. I would not. I'd pass on that one. If he gets 5 years someplace else, goodbye, good luck. We'll see. We'll see what Eppler has to say. And Sandy, who's got a seat at the table. Manhattan bow we go. Mickey, what's going on, Mickey?
Hey, guys. Hey, Moose. I hope it's not a bat.
God, I hope. I don't think so.
You got to have to hope it could be a bat, because you at least have your bat guy, the world-renowned bat specialist from Oklahoma. You got him on speed dial. Bats you could do.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bat. We've had mice in the house. We've had mice in the heating system and the heating ducts.
Were they fried?
I'll tell you what it could be.
You know how I found them? I found them. So
mouse poo-poo?
No, well, yeah, I did see that. So I knew we had mice in the house. Because dating back to my college days at Syracuse, we had a big rat in the house. So I knew.
He was actually your fourth roommate.
I knew, there was a huge rat.
He bought a keg once, and it was awesome.
There was a huge rat in the house that we had to kill one night and snapped its neck with a rat trap. But that was at Syracuse, and he was a huge rat. Anyway, but found out.
We called him the clap.
You know where they were living? They were living in our mechanics room downstairs in the basement. I found them. They were all of a sudden, they started to eat the insulation, and they unfortunately passed away. Then I had to clean all that up. Yeah, fantastic.
But I'll tell you guys, so Maggie,
yes.
I'm a little on your side, and I'll give you the pros and the cons. I'll give you why we should be excited and why we shouldn't be excited, and I'll make it quick.
Okay.
Why we should be excited, he comes from a team with an owner that definitely did not want to spend.
And he did want to spend.
I feel like he didn't. I feel like he held that team back so much, and whenever he did spend, who he got MVPs out of it, so they know how to
they
pick.
spent $245 on Rendon.
And Rendon, he played 50 games or so.
They gave Matt Harvey $12 million.
I hear you.
I forgot about that.
Like the Angels
game set match. You just made my point
I understand.
for me.
I was waiting for it,
I didn't even have to go to Mickey Callaway and all these other things. I have notes.
They gave Matt Harvey $12 million when we all knew Matt Harvey was washed.
Nobody call in and be like, actually, I'm on Moose's side on this. Moose just made my point for me.
No, I'm going to be clear. And I still like Eppler. I think you got to be excited. I got to be honest with you.
Excited.
Thanksgiving is next week. You finally have a GM. You're over the embarrassment of the last 7 weeks. It's finally done. Yes.
But because they finally settled on somebody who hasn't had a winning record in the 5 years he was in L.A.?
He's got fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Maggie, I know you.
Clear heart,
you and I have been
lose.
friends for a long time.
Yes.
For like 12, 13. We've been friends for a long time. You believe in people getting better, evolving.
I do believe in that.
Yes.
Except this guy. No, I'm just kidding.
Billy.
Except when it comes to the Mets.
Right. Billy Eppler can learn from his mistakes, can he not? We all as human beings make mistakes.
Well, that's a good thing
he
about...
He didn't make all the great baseball decisions out there with the Angels. I get all that. Yeah. But he can learn from his mistakes.
Yeah, quickly. Very quickly. Also, the other part, too, is like, that's the good thing, I guess, about having Cohen and his ability to spend. This is what I'm putting my head on the pillow on at night. Anytime, any mistakes that Billy Eppler makes, Cohen can overspend to correct them. The problem, but like, that's what I got.
Yeah.
Any big-time boo-boos, Uncle Stevie can come in and erase it.
Listen.
But that's a terrible way to go in and think about this. Like, I'm just not, like, okay, the other part, too, is...
Listen, I'll add to your argument.
We haven't even talked about the manager stuff yet.
Yeah,
all of that.
And we'll get into that.
We've
But
got layers here.
Right,
And a point about Shohei Ohtani that I'd like to make.
The biggest criticism, the biggest compliment for Eppler is his familiarity with New York, has worked with an owner, he's got a lot of money in Artie Moreno, a guy that's heavily involved. You imagine that's what's going to be Steve Cohen, especially when he said, my vision for sustained success last night after the statement, when they announced that it was official before he gets introduced today at 12:30. The knock is the player development, and the knock is the starting pitching.
Two big knocks.
It's two big knocks. So
the two things he's going to be tasked to do here day one.
And you look at the Met fans celebrating about the comp pick for Noah Syndergaard. Well, what do you do with that compensatory pick? What are you going to do with the compensatory pick when you lose Michael Conforto in free agency? How do these guys develop? They're not teaming with talent when you look at the farm system. There are guys to be excited about. The third baseman, the catcher, Ronnie Mauricio. I mean, there are guys to be excited about, but overall, it's not one of the healthiest farm systems in Major League Baseball. So what is Billy Eppler now going to do, having a control of this and developing players and trying to get those top upper echelon prospects within that system?
It is a big job. Now Billy Eppler gets it. Does he deserve it? 877-337-6666.